The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and Prince Harry has been squeaking all over the place, telling the entire world how his daddy won't answer his phone calls and how he wants to reconcile with his family. Now there's a news report of a very private and secret meeting between Prince Harry and King Charles's aides. Is this the first step to a real royal reconciliation and repairing a family rift? Or is this perhaps another manipulation and PR stunt? You guys, we have a lot of juicy royal daily tea to get through today, so you know what to do. Sit back and relax. Grab yourself a beverage and let's get into the royal daily tea. So I think we all know by now that Prince Harry is miserable in Montecito, despite the narrative that Meghan Markle spins that they're living their best life in Hollywood. You only have to look at Prince Harry's face to see the actual truth. Literally doing his best Ben Affleck impersonation, acting like he wants to be anywhere but there. At least Ben Affleck escaped J-Lo, just saying. So in my opinion, they're starting to panic a little bit. They're going into a crisis mode as they realized their royal currency and relevancy has diminished and their Hollywood deals are starting to dry up. Now we know they still have the Netflix contract, which I believe is coming to renewal in September of this year. Now, rumors are circulating that, of course, they're going to renew the contract with Meghan Markle, but Harry may or may not be a part of this brand new contract moving forward. And Harry and Meghan, y'all, did not get $100 million for this Netflix deal. That was an estimated value originally stated when they signed the contract in 2020. So now they're going to be on a project-by-project basis, pretty much based on performance. And if we look at Harry and Meghan's past track record, it's not looking too great for Megsy over there at Netflix. Now, we know that Harry and Meghan are very litigious and like to sue everybody, but that's starting to get very, very expensive as Prince Harry is starting to find out as he lost a major court case by suing the Home Office in May of this year. So right after Prince Harry lost his court case with the Home Office, where he literally sued his father's government because he felt he was entitled to the same royal treatment as his father and his brother. I know, make it make sense. He decided to sit down with the BBC and gave the world's cringiest interview, pretty much embarrassing and humiliating his father, King Charles. Now again, King Charles was not allowed to get involved at all in that court case because he was literally suing the government. So the king cannot get involved, but Prince Harry literally accused the royal family of doing a royal stitch-up behind the scenes, and they want Harry and his family to be in danger. They don't want them to be safe. But in the same breath, he talked about how he tried to call his father. His father didn't answer his phone calls. He doesn't know how long his daddy has to live, but he wants a royal reconciliation right after he blamed his father for all of his problems. Again, make it make sense. Now, in my opinion, that whole BBC interview was a cry for attention because the royal family has gone no contact. You cannot reason with a narcissist, and Meghan Markle is a complete narcissist. Now, unfortunately, Harry married her, and he chose her, so therefore they have to cut Harry and the kids off along with Meghan Markle. So in my humble opinion, that was a major squeaky wheel out there in the universe trying to get attention. Well, apparently it worked, y'all, because now there's a report that members from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's PR team met with some royal aides of King Charles. So to me, it sounds like it worked. that manipulation PR stunt that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle did got the attention of the royal family. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this secret meeting that happened. So let's talk about this meeting and who was there and who was not. Now, there were two representatives for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. You had Meredith Maines, who works as the Chief Communications Officer and is the head of the household in Montecito. She's also the woman who masterminded that cringy BBC interview for Prince Harry. Then we had Liam Maguire, who runs the Sussex's PR team in the UK. Now, the press secretary for King Charles, Tobin Andre, was also there, but nobody for Catherine and William was present. That is very, very interesting. Now, the palace went to great lengths to stress this was not a formal meeting and there was no formal agenda. They were simply meeting for drinks. Okay. Now, the place that they went to was a very private club called the Royal Overseas League, better known as ROSL. It's a very close place to Clarence House, which of course is the formal residence for King Charles. Now, a lot of people are speculating why. Why did they meet up? Why now? Well, I think there's several reasons as to why they would have this, quote, private secret meeting. Now, according to insiders, they met first on the balcony, and then they quickly went inside for a more private talk, and that both sides of the parties had something they wanted to discuss. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. Now, we know that King Charles is battling a very incurable cancer, and we don't know how well he's doing with his health. I'm sure he has good days, he has bad days, but again, he is in his 70s and he is battling cancer. And the fact that it's an incurable cancer, in my opinion, it's not a good sign. But that doesn't mean that the king is on his deathbed, but it simply means that King Charles' health is not exactly where we would like it to be. So that definitely has to be some sort of concern for King Charles and Prince Harry. Now, it is known that King Charles has never met Lilibet, and he barely knows Archie. So as a grandfather, we can understand that can be hard. He probably misses his son, misses the grandkids. However, Harry is a loose cannon, and Meghan, she's Cruella de Vil. They cannot trust the two of them as far as they can throw them. So why did they meet? Was it because King Charles was concerned about Prince Harry? Remember, there was rumors that Harry was not doing well, that he may or may not have gone to the hospital. People are very, very concerned about him. Again, he does tend to lead on substances. He might have depression. And again, he's not living his best life in Montecito, even though they like to sell us that narrative. All you got to do is look at Prince Harry and you see all is not well. So I'm sure King Charles, maybe they're concerned about Prince Harry. So the fact that Harry's team wanted to reach out and bridge the gap of communication, the palace might have thought, okay, this is a good idea. You have to remember that BBC interview was humiliating for King Charles and the royal family. So maybe they felt like, okay, we need to pay attention to this squeaky wheel to shut him down. Maybe we can have some sort of truce and he'll stop running amok, right? He'll start running around in the tabloids. But I think we all know by now, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will pretty much never stop unless they are 100% back in the royal fold, which is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So therefore, what incentive do they have to stop? So they said that both sides had something they wanted to discuss. And remember, a couple of weeks ago, Harry's team made it known that they sent an invitation to King Charles and the royal family to join them in 2027 for the Invictus Games. Again, that was kind of a bitch move to do, to publicly announce that, kind of putting the king on the spot. So a lot of people believe perhaps they're trying to work out a deal where if Harry and Meghan play ball, if they play nice, if they keep their name out their mouth, maybe the king will support them and show up in 2027 for the Invictus Games. Other people believe that Harry and Meghan are starting to run out of cash and they need Daddy's wallet, right? Because remember, Prince Harry said his father cut him off financially in March of 2020 as a 30-something-year-old man because King Charles wrote his last check in April of 2020 for about $4 million, and that's it. As far as I'm concerned, I believe King Charles has cut them off financially. Again, Harry and Meghan making all that money with Netflix and Spotify should be able to support themselves. So a lot of people believe because Harry and Meghan are realizing that civilian life is tough. It's tough not being a royal. It's tough having to sing for your supper. And again, there's that whole thing about the children and their legacy and their titles. Prince Harry is said to be very, very concerned about Archie and Lily and their place within the future of the monarchy. They literally believe that their children have a choice. They can decide if they want to be working royals or not. Well, again, that's up to, Prince William, I believe, in the future, and that's not going to happen. But again, they're delulu. They live in their own head. So I believe they're really concerned about the future, for the titles of their children, and of course, security. Now, Harry lost the lawsuit on security. So maybe he's trying to make a backdoor deal like, hey, I'll fly over, I'll bring the kids, we'll visit the king, but you have to do X, Y, and Z for me. And hey, if you want to bring Megsy over, well, let's make this place super secure, and then we'll all come over for the summer. So perhaps King Charles really is behind the plan to not provide security so they can keep the old witch over here in Montecito. I mean, you got to hand it to him. That would be a genius move because I know nobody in the royal family wants that woman to step foot in the UK. So you have to admit that would be a master plan if they were behind it. So in my opinion, the royal family is going about it because they're feeling he's crying out for help. The king's health is deteriorating. He does love his son. He is concerned about the grandchildren that he really doesn't know. And they know that when Prince William becomes king, all reconciliation will be completely wiped off the table. It will not even be considered. So the only way that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have a chance is through King Charles. And I believe King Charles might be a little bit more sympathetic because it is his son versus William, okay? So that is why I believe Harry and Meghan are very, very desperate to have some form of communication, to get their foot in the door because they've got some titles to keep for their kids. They're getting a little cash strapped. So maybe if they get paid, they'll shut their mouth. And there's a rumor that came out a while ago, and I believe this story, that the royal family want Harry and Meghan to be successful. They want them to get those movie deals and cooking shows and as ever products to be huge because that way Harry and Meghan will leave the royal family alone. Because the only way Harry and Meghan have really made any real money is by slagging off the royal family. So if all their deals go bust up, what do they have left? That little bit of royal currency that they can cash in if they slam the family. So maybe they're going there and Charles is going to write them a little check to stay silent and will support them at the Invictus Games if they play ball and will let his children keep the royal titles. So I believe there's some kind of negotiation. I don't believe it's because Harry's like, I miss my Paul. Paul, it's your darling boy. I miss you. Call me. I don't believe for one moment Harry's really concerned about his dad. I think they're concerned about themselves. And they're trying to have some kind of deal where the royal family can pretty much shut them down, have some kind of truce, pay them off behind the scenes, or Harry's trying to beg to come back on a part-time basis and help them with some military patronages, which again is never going to happen. So even if King Charles opens up the gates and has a Zoom call with little Archie and little Betty, occasionally looks at the birthday photo, that doesn't mean they're coming back into the royal fold. It's simply a grandfather trying to get to know grandchildren that he's never got to meet. So you have to remember there's the monarch and there's the person. King Charles is a grandfather and he is a father. So you know he probably does miss his son. But ultimately, once you have years and years of hurt and betrayal, can you really trust that person again? Now, the other part of the equation is the story was leaked. This was supposed to be a, quote, private meeting, a secret meeting that was photographed outside on a balcony at a private club. How did the press know they were there? So now both sides are pointing the fingers at each other saying, wasn't me, wasn't us. And Harry is said to be, quote, frustrated because now could the deal be off the table? Was this a test? Did Harry fail? How did this get out to the media? Now, I do find it suspicious that two of Harry's teammates who run his PR were seen out on a balcony with a member of King Charles's team. So to me, this was a perfectly orchestrated PR stunt, but who did it? Who has the most to benefit from the world knowing about this, quote, casual meeting over drinks? Is it the royal family who's going to benefit, or is it going to be Harry and Meghan? I personally believe that the royal family went into it because they're trying to have a ceasefire. They want to stop this problem. They want to stop the train from rolling off the rails. They were embarrassed and humiliated over that BBC interview. Perhaps King Charles wants to enter a ceasefire and give him a check to keep him quiet, and maybe he'll show up at the Invictus Games. That is what I believe the royal family is trying to do. But I believe Harry needs the money and he wants to ensure the titles for his children and perhaps sneak his way in the back door. But I believe 100% that Meghan Markle is left out of this equation. And speaking of being left out of the equation, nobody from Catherine and William's team was present because I believe that door is firmly shut. But let me know who you thought leaked the story and who benefited from the story being public. And do you believe a reconciliation is going to happen? As always, I appreciate each and every one of you and hope to see y'all in the next video. Bye, guys.